Welcome back to the table, everyone. Today we are playing the Lock and Load Tactical Heroes of the Motherland. This is the East Front, if you're not too familiar with the system. And just a quick recap, I did post a previous video, which was just a few minutes long, explaining my relearning attempt here at the game. Essentially, stripped away all support weapons, vehicles, anti-tank guns, flamethrowers, all this stuff is gone. The idea is this is scenario 1, tough as nails, but it also has like a lot of elements that you could add later, so it's not like a learning game. Most of the games in here have extra elements to them, but this is going to add in quite a bit. I mean, especially when you add in armor. I know some people, they have to really get the infantry rules learned first before they add armor. So my philosophy behind this in terms of relearning the game was take out all the extra stuff, focus on the infantry, and then we'll bring back some other items later on and just kind of, a little bit at a time. Because it's a lot for me to just try and learn the entire rule system at once and then incorporate everything at once. So we're just going to put the basics, if you will. Okay, so just to summarize, this is Tough as Nails, Stalingrad, Russia, September 21st, 1942. After a few initial setbacks, German forces were making steady progress towards clearing the city of Soviet troops. On September 20th, a German infantry assault was repulsed around the building known as the Nail Factory by stalwart elements of the newly arrived 13th Guards Division. The German command was nonplussed, and the attack was renewed the next day, this time with armor and pioneer attachments. So this would be the next day with, we would have pioneer, but I've stripped that too. So the units are in here that represent the pioneers, but no smoke. I have played a couple times just to kind of see how this would work. Yeah, I could see where smoke would be like a huge benefit. But again, the idea is just to kind of start to relearn and let people know it's quite possible to play a game with just infantry and add stuff in as you feel more comfortable, because there's a lot of minutia and moving parts. I mean, this even has special scenario rules and an event marker for extra stuff to happen. So we're just going to keep it to the basics. All right, with that in mind, set the scenario rules aside. We do have several stacks of German units. Over here, though, we had a couple of hexes. These are stone buildings and a wooden building. So we got a little bit of cover to move up. Could have used the force just as well. But then we also have stacks here. I've spread the 2, 5, 2, 2, 4, 4. Well, I'll show you there the pioneers for later. But I got a stack right here of 164s that are just going to be the nice little cannon, cannon fodder. They'll run out and try to draw opportunity fire and then charge. And I'm just going to say that the last couple times I played, the results have turned out quite differently each time. So again, even with just basic elements and changing positions, this isn't how I had the board set up before, and the Germans got wrecked hardcore. So I'm hoping to change things around here this time. So far, the Germans have lost each time. Believe it or not, I've played twice and I've set infantry up in different locations each time, stacking, not stacked, and the Russians have just been like troopers and have had no problem wiping the board. So I'm hoping this time will be different with the infantry. Now again, because someone's saying, well, of course you're not doing it right, because you don't have all the Stug, you don't have the Panzer III, those things to really beef up the Germans. Yeah, I get that. But again, the idea is take a scenario you like, and this could be any advice. Find any scenario that you like, that you say, you know what, I want to play that someday. And start with some infantry. Maybe not all of them. Maybe without even leaders. And then play again with leaders. Because I guarantee every time you play, it gives you a slightly different experience. And then each time you add another element, the gameplay is always changing. So you're never playing the same game twice. Also, it's how I learned miniature rules. Goodness gracious, some of these games are super complex. So Start with a little bit, push your miniatures around on the table, get the basics of movement and shooting down, and then really start focus on the minutia. And that's what we're doing here, really focusing on movement and firing. Doesn't mean I won't make a mistake, so help me out. So let's get stuck in. For the initiative, turn 1, 10 turns, Germans have the initiative. Now, since I am solo in this, there is the solo system that would help you determine if you want to do things like opportunity fire and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is opportunity fire when there's opportunity. But I'm going to do some strategy type stuff. And these are things I've learned from watching people play ASL. And again, it's solo, so, you know, it is what it is. But I'll see people that they'll say is, okay, my activation, I'm going to bring this squad out. Boop. And if you let me, I'm just going to run all the way to that building unless you opportunity fire at me. And he'll say, I only have a range of 2. These guys can only shoot 2 hexes, but we have extended range. We have a box around that middle number. That means we have extended range. We get half firepower for shooting out to 3 and 4. So is it worth it for us? We'll shoot you when you hit right about here. And because then, look, 1, 2. Now we could go this way and then go here, and we'd reach the buildings and maybe not trigger opportunity fire. And that would be 1 activation. I could do that. Now, as far as opportunity fire, because it's now the Soviet turn, I could say this hex will open up on that building. It doesn't have to be opportunity fire at that point because it's now their activation. So we'll say, yeah, sure, let's do it. We've got a grand total of 2 firepower for the primary unit, and when you add an extra unit firing, they get half of their firepower. So that is 3 firepower, no attached leader. And we are in a wood building, which is 3 defense. So 3 firepower, 3 defense. It's a wash as far as penalties, bonuses. So we're going to roll the dice. Red is the Russian die. So who's higher? Germans. German defender wins. All right. Well, see, that worked out just fine. So we mark the Russian player with a fired. Then it switches over to the German impulse. And they say, you know what, that worked out. That worked out pretty good. So let's send out another sacrificial unit here. We're going to go this way. 1, 2. Now, at this point, these guys say, you know what? Let's go ahead and fire. But how about we do this? We're going to go ahead. This will be opportunity fire. And we're just going to fire 1 unit in the stack. And give him a leader bonus. So that'll be 3. Yeah. Now, the one thing that I didn't see in the rules, and it's probably there, but it's one of those things where I thought I read it before, but I couldn't find it again. I do that a lot. So if somebody could tell me, though, if you do a leader with opportunity fire, I think they get marked fired if they participate. So I think he gets marked fired. So it doesn't matter if it's opportunity fire or regular fire. If he helps to coordinate an attack, he will also get marked fire, I believe. So we're going to say that's a 3 right there. 1 for the leader, 2 for him. And again, he's out in the open. So this is actually a 3 bonus for the Russian player on the red die. Okay, that's actually a big hit. So that's 3 plus 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So this guy is going to get flipped, but there's a 5. Now you roll a die 6, and you add the difference, which was 5. I got a 6. And then you add 5 to that is 11. So that is actually more than double. Okay, because normally up to double is you just get flipped, right? But as soon as you hit double or more, and then there's also like 4 times as much, but he gets reduced and he's going to get shaken. So we're going to have to snap our fingers here and switch him out. He is now on the board, reduced. He went from a 154 down to a 054 based on a die roll that I made. Odds are even. And we're also skipping hero checks because, again, keeping it simple. So these guys in their little building get marked with a fired. Fire! But this guy did not participate. He decided not to do anything, and he's not moving, so he'll be able to shoot at somebody else. But this guy gets marked with moved. Now, one thing too is, I know it says if a unit's marked with moved, they get a penalty. So I think quite possibly, and I'm going to double check here real fast. I just thought of something. Let me check before the video started. Already missing something. Hold on. Alright, already forgot to add something. If they are moving or marked moved, there's also a +1. So that's okay. I don't think that would have made any difference on that guy. And I don't think he could have got much worse off. Because 3 times is the most you could do, and that would eliminate. And he had just gotten to the 2 times. So right now, that +1 moving penalty doesn't hurt at the moment, but it might make a difference later. So I'm glad somebody out there said, and I caught the mental vibe, check for moving penalty. I'll add that in. Normally I could just say, well, remember, we're playing basic, but I can add in moving penalty. I have no problem with that. Okay, then it goes back. Now he stops, so it's going to go back to the Russian player, because that was opportunity fire. And what to do? They're mostly in a defensive pattern. They have no reason to push out. So the German player, the Soviet player will pass. Okay, back to the German player. So the German player says, you know what? We're going to get out there and maybe try to entice them to shoot some more. But we're going to go sneaky. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, not much happening there. And then the Soviet player says, yeah, I'll pass. And the German player says, oh, not really taking the bait on that one. But we have a clear path up here, so we'll go ahead and go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because maybe we can push around, because we're trying to capture these buildings up here. So let's push. And they get marked with a moved. Now that's actually not a bad spot overall. Good chess move there. Back to the Soviet player, and they go, oh snap! I may have to shift folks around and pull some back to protect the nail factory. Right now we're on the outskirts, but we may have to fall back because I got good protection this way, not a whole lot here. Those guys have limited in their use because they were protecting here. So, smart move. So, Soviet player passes. Then the German player says, oh, okay, well then why don't we push up this way? We actually could have run. Running is a thing you can do. It lets you add 2 movement points, and you can go with your leader. You have to have a leader with you though. So they actually could push up to 6 points. Let's do that. 6 movement points. Oh, you know what? And they brought that wood building with them too. I just broke the stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. That's the whole shooting match right there. Why? People keep asking, why do you use tweezers when apparently you don't use them well? It's how you get better. So, because I thought of running, because we're going to run with this group. Now, there are some other moves that I probably will forget to use. There's like a low crawl where you can move like advance 1 hex and not trigger fire. If I think about using it and remember, I'll pull it in. But generally, you just move the listed movement points, which is this number here in the lower right. But I do know when you have an attached leader, he can motivate you to run because he yells at you. 1, 2, 3. Now we gotta look. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is a chance for opportunity fire here. So then the Soviet player has to say, well, do I hit them while they're in the building? Because the German player can just swing out. Could have swung out anyway. Could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's no range. His maximum range is 4 hexes. And there you go. We've now just outflanked you a bit. That's what we'll do. Okay. Soviet player says, it's looking grim. I think I'll pass. Soviet player says pass. So the German player says, okay, we still got a unit right here that is just waiting for a stack of people to come up. So let's flank around a little bit and maybe get some protection in those buildings. Now, I don't know what the movement point costs for that. Let me check that out and then we will move. Okay, so a German player has picked a path of movement. So he's going to go here. It's 1, 2, 3, 2 points for the wheat. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Brave. And they say, you know what? We're going to take that position. Gives us the ability to shoot back defensively. And maybe we can do some damage over here. So then the Soviet player jumps into action and says, I'm going to shoot. Now he's only got 1 unit here. He's going to take a shot because there's that move penalty. Oh, but this guy is just sitting in the open with a move. And we have a chance to just wipe that out completely. But it's shaken and there's no leader nearby to rally him. This is probably a juicier target because there's a huge stack. So he's got firepower 2, not adjacent. The leader is already marked fired because he was previously. So I think if that leader thing, that would change the game by a number of 1. But I believe that leader, since it did participate in a fire action, he is marked fired as well. So he'll go ahead and just fire with his 2. Plus 1 for the moving, so that's a 3. They're in a stone building. That's 1 point in favor of the Germans. I'm going to roll the die and add 1 to the German die. Oh, which was completely not needed. I had to be careful where I put the dice roller since I don't want to knock stuff over. But German player totally laughs it off, says, wah ha ha ha, and they get marked with fired. Then all we have left are Soviets, so they're going to just stay put, because again, they got nowhere to go. It's all on the German player at this point. So we'll clean up, and we'll start turn 2. Alright, we are ready for turn 2. I advanced the marker. No, I didn't. But we have to roll for initiative, so I'll roll for initiative, then I'll move the marker. Again, white die is Germans, red is Russians. Germans had initiative last time, so they'll win ties. And this time it goes to the Soviet player to start us off on turn 2. Excellent. Alright, now we do have a couple of options here, but the Soviet player senses a really strong presence here. Now, you might also be wondering, what are you doing about spotting? They move, but that went away, so they're maybe hidden. Wouldn't you have to see them before you shoot at them? Yeah, but here's the thing. Spotting rules, I've been finding, checking some Facebook posts, spotting rules are really kind of open almost to interpretation of the rules. Not really, because there are rules and they're written and they're, but it's like, it's interesting, depending on who has read the spotting rules, how they interpret, how they work. So I said to myself, I'll use them later. For now, this is a basic, spotting rules are a real pain. But there are certain things that make sense. Like if you shoot the hex, remember it's the hex that gets marked with the move or whatever. So like if I had a unit here that was hidden and then I moved somebody in, then the hex gets marked with a move, like spotted, because you see people moving, got line of sight. Then they could attack that hex and then shoot at it or whatever. But then like if somebody moves out, then the move goes away. But like if you fire, fire stays. I don't know. It's a lot of little minutia that I'm sure somebody who plays with the spotting rules often probably has it all down. But since I'm a solo player, I really don't like enforcing the spotting rules on myself, because it's just one extra thing as a solo player that, yeah, I'm not gonna really fret over it for now. I'm sure later on, if I play someone who really knows the game, then they could help me out with spotting. But for now, in a solo game, I typically just tend to stop the spotting, and because I forget to do it anyway. Be honest, it's not my high priority, even if I'm playing with other stuff in the game. So that's all I got to say about spotting. But what I will do is go, we saw some people move in that building, so we're just going to fire bullets into it and hope it hits somebody. Now, we're going to go ahead and ignore that little target and that little target. Let's go here, because now we can add some firepower. I forgot to remove that fire because it was covered up. We have a leader. So we got more firepower, because it's 2 plus 1 for half plus 1 for the leader. So that's a grand total of 4. They're not moving anymore, so it's 4 against their defense of 4. That means it's a straight roll. And if we win, we could potentially cause a lot of hurt. We can potentially cause some hurt. That's a difference of 3. So now we're going to make damage checks against everybody in here. And we're going to check the leader last. So I'll put the leader last in line, because that way, if he goes out, he'll go out last. He can apply his leadership bonus to their defense rolls. So basically, I'm going to take that difference of 3, add it to a die 6, and compare it to morale. And if I roll under their morale, no effect. If it's over, then possibly they're shaken. I can only get a 9. If I roll a 6 plus 3, that's a 9. So the best I can get is shaken. So here we go. 3 plus 2 is a 5. So they're good. Use the German die. Oh, 3 plus 1 is 4. That's less than the 6. This guy has a 5 morale. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Oh, wait. I forgot to add the 1. That's a 6. So 7 is still higher than 6, so he's shaken. Don't forget the leadership bonus. I just talked about it and didn't even add it. The leader just goes against his 6. He can't add his leadership to himself, so he's a 6. So 3 plus 3 is 6. So the leader is fine. That could have gone a lot worse, actually. But let's leave them there for a second. So we are going to mark the Soviet player with a fired. All right, perfect. Not bad. Now we got 2 shaken Germans, but there is a leader in here, so he might rally easily. Okay, so the German player says, well, they're fired. Ooh, we don't want to move there. Oh, wait. Yeah, I don't want to move there, I don't think. To get a Jason bonus, that's probably a little risky at the moment. Why don't we bring this guy in, and they can eventually exchange some pot shots here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this can be bad too, because they're going to have a move on them. That gives a +1. And they've got a stack of folks there. But I'm thinking there's no way this is going to get, no way that'll turn out bad. So the Soviet player says, I call you on that. And in here we have a 2, 2, and a 1 leadership. So we're going to have 2 plus 1 is 3, because you take half for the extra firer, plus 1 for the leader, that's a 4. Add 1 for the movement, so that's a 5. They have a 4 defense for the stone, so the red die is going to add 1. That's the Russian die. Ooh, okay, it's 7 to 3. That's a difference of 4. All right, I take it back. That could end up horrible, and that might have just ended up horribly bad for the German player. Well, we're going to add the 1 leadership to their morale. Okay, so we're adding a 4. If I roll less than a 3, we're good. 3, 2, or 1, we're fine. So we're going to start here. That guy, 4 plus 3 is 7, shaken. Okay, next guy over, he's a 5, so he needs add 1, it's a 6. So 4 plus 3 is 7 compared to his 6, that's shaken. Then this German player, it's a 7 because of the plus 1, so we're adding 4 to the die roll. 4 plus 4 is 8. Shaken. I think you see where this is going. Okay, we're going to add the 4, and he's a 7, so we need a 1, 2, or 3 to keep that leader happy. 6 plus 4 is 10. Okay. That was not what I thought. You know what I should have done? German player should have moved maybe 1 unit to try and draw some of that opportunity fire, and maybe not have moved the whole, but you know. So he said, yep, we lit you up. And that was an opportunity fire because they had stopped. This was just them shooting. So back to the German player. I thought we were going to shoot or move these guys. I guess they'll shoot here now. They hear the screams of their comrades coming from down the road. So they're going to get some revenge. So there's a 2 plus a half. So that's 2.5 plus 1. 3.5. You round up fractions at the end. So that's 4 firepower. Yep, that sounds about right. And they have a defense of 4. So that's a wash. So the white die are the Germans. 5. Hey, it's a difference of 1. So we had to make damage rolls. And the leader is fine because he's a 7, they're a 7, they're a 7. They're fine because I can roll a 6, add the difference of 1. So that didn't actually hurt them. I'm not even going to roll because it's only plus 1. And if I add that, if I roll a 6, that'll still equal 7. And you have to score higher than the morale. So good job. That's the worst kind of hit. Yes, we hit you, but not enough. We didn't hit you enough. Alright, Soviet player has some options. Well, 1 if you want to shoot. We'll shoot into that building. So we've got 3 firepower because half for the additional guy and 2 for the primary. They're in a building of defensive 2. They haven't moved or nothing. So it's going to be a die roll plus 1 for the red Soviet dice. So that's a 5. So that's a difference of 3. So the German player is going to roll a dice. And if they get a 1 or 2, they're fine. And they roll a 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. So it's not double, but they are now shaken. And no leaders in sight to help them out. And that puts a fired marker. Okay, back to German impulse. Well, we can pull this guy up, or we can start to move them around so they can run. Because I haven't seen, when I was looking at the running rules, I was surprised. I didn't see anything that said you can't just run forever. I may have missed it, but I'm used to seeing when people play like ASL. I know this is an advanced squad leader. I get it. But they at least had a mechanic in there to prevent you from running every single turn. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not important here. But it's like, well, we'll just keep running. 1, 2, 3, and there's no one to shoot. So it's like I can just charge in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. They could shoot at extreme range in the open. So let's rethink that a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And be protected. Alright. Sergeant Beck says, we'll go there. Soviet player passes. German player says, let's move up. Ooh. 2, 3. Ah, he can't move in there, so we'll go here. Think about putting him here to draw some fire away. So some shoot there and split their fire. That's tempting. He's sacrificial, but it's tempting to split fire. End of the turn. We'll clean the board, come back, start a new turn. Great. What I did was I dropped one map, brought the camera in just a little bit more so you can see everything much more pretty. I did advance the turn marker. I didn't lie this time, but we are going to roll for initiative, so I'll just put the dice roller there. Russians have had the initiative. We're going to roll. They'll keep it on a tie. It's a tie, so initiative stays with the Russian player. Excellent. So they're going to start off first. So again, we are back to targets. Now, the thing is, we do have a juicy target. Oh, rally phase. Can't forget that. I just looked down and saw that these guys were shaken. Completely forgot about that. So luckily, they have a chance to try and recover that. Otherwise, if they botch this, the Soviet player is just going to steamroll that stack. Alright, we're going to start with the leader first, because if the leader fails, then the rest of these guys cannot rally. So you have to rally a leader first, and then he can add the leadership bonus there to add it to their morale, essentially, or subtract it from the die roll. So we got to get a 7. I get to add 2 because I am in a hex that provides cover, so that gives you +2 to the rally roll. Or subtract 2. So essentially he has like a 9 morale. That worked. So he is safe. Now they're going to add 3. So these two are morale 9, he's morale 8. So we'll start here. As a 6, they're good. Next guy over. 3, they're good. And let's see if we roll higher than 8. 7. Well, that was lucky. I don't recall if there's no way I had a Soviet left over, because they were fired. They did the firing that got them all shaken, and he didn't have enough movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. He couldn't have got over to take that. So that was scary. So even though the Soviet player has the initiative, they had a chance to rally, and they did. They took it. They said, okay, we're tough. All right. Normally how I would do this is I probably would have rolled a 12 on the leader, and then that would have been the end. So it wouldn't be the first time I've done that. And then the Soviet player says, I'll just walk in and take that stack. Thanks. All right. So the Soviet player says, oh, even though I haven't spotted you technically off of that, we know that you are back up and running. And that has us worried. Oh, hold on. I have a shaken guy here. I completely forgot. I just noticed and remembered. Let's roll for him. He's going to get +3 because he's +2 in cover, and he's got a leader, so it's an 8. He's fine. Shaken. Psh, whatever. We got leaders. Oh yeah, that's a whole lot of trouble then for the Soviet player. Because this guy... 1, 2, 3... We got to do something about that. So the problem is, if I move... 1, 2, 3, 4. Why would I move, you would ask? Because I need to bring reinforcements here. So let's go around somewhere. Let's see what the cover on that is, if there's any. Alright, that little bit of woods, that's called a light woods. It's degrading 1, so that I bumped the camera big time. So what we're going to do is not go here. Oh, that would block line of sight, though. It's going to cut through that building. We're going to do it. And it is 2 movement, I think I saw it say. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, because this line of sight gets blocked by that building. So we're going to go right there. No one can shoot at them, but we're in a position to try and push through to help defend the nail factory from the outside. I just didn't think it would be good to have all my infantry here. Maybe later when you start having anti-tank gun stuff like that, we could spread a little bit more. But the German player just rushed right around, so we got to play a little bit of a catch. Then it goes to the German player. The German player says, yep, catch me if you can. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Alright, we'll get out a little control marker because that now goes to Germans. Alright, I found a victory marker. I'm going to use the gray side for Germany, and then there's a gold side for the Allies. So we're just going to make that known. And that particular marker comes in that's the 5.1 like marker upgrade kit. So I have a little victory. That's a victory point for us. I need to capture all 4 points. So they move in. They get a move. Alright, Soviet player has to think now. Now they've acted, so I can't get opportunity fire. So what I can do is actually move here. I'm going to move here. Oh, okay. We have... Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I believe this is around their movement factor without really zooming in. It's hard to tell if that's a square around the 4, only because it looks like the little Russian figure is sitting on it, but the red is slightly different colored red than the background red. So I believe they are assault capable. So if I move, I can do an assault move. So what I would do is I would move and then I could fire. You get like half your movement, and I'll double check and see what the penalty is for the assault move, but I'm going to do an assault move with that group and try to light up that group of Germans. Right, just a quick refresher there. They're going to get half their movement points, so that was enough to move 1. They also get marked with an assault move marker, which I forgot to get, but I have one right here. That was quick. And the new admin marker, new fired marker looks different. Nice. So I'm going to put assault move on them. That way later in the turn they could then like do opportunity fire if they wanted later, but they're going to fire now. So that means when they're done, they're going to get a fire. In addition to assault move, they'll get a fire to indicate that they did the shooting. And I think the assault move is there because it's movement, so later if someone shot at them, they would get that penalty or that bonus for shooting at them because they were moving. So you got to mark them with both. Now, they take their firepower total. So again, it's 2 for a primary, add 1 for an additional, so that's 3, add 1 for the leader, and subtract 2 from the stack. Wonder if they would just be better off doing melee. Jump in there. It's in favor of the Germans, so they'll bring some reinforcements. So they're going to shoot. They're going to get a -2 penalty. So the red die will have a -2. If depending on how the dice rolls go, though, this could work out in favor of the Russian player, Soviets. It almost is a tie, so nothing happened, but it was worth a try. So they're in. Oh, wait a minute. +1. Wait a second. Hold on. I forgot about something. Again, I heard somebody whispering to me. They said in my head, wait, they moved and they're adjacent. That was the whole point of moving there. That's actually +3 on top of their 2. So that's 5. So subtract 1. That's actually +1 in favor of the Russian player. Or Soviets. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm probably going to switch back and forth between Soviet and Russian. Okay, so that means everybody in here has to make a damage check. Have to. And there's a chance that it might not bode well. I could be wrong. So we're going to add 0 for the leader. Oh no! There's a 0 bonus for Sergeant Beck. So they have to go off of just their morale. Oh boy. And I have to add the 1 to that. So this could go bad. I have to roll 6s for the leader. So at this point, I'm just going straight across because it doesn't matter. The leader has a 0 leadership modifier. So here we go. Let's bring it on here. Leader. 4, he's fine. Next guy over, +1. 4, he's fine. Next guy over, 4, he's fine. Well, never mind then. This might be okay. If I roll a 6 for that stronger unit, though, 1. Oh, man. Okay, it was a valiant effort by the Soviet player. Valiant. We found some modifiers, but it just didn't work out. Okay, so they've got a nice strong hold, strong grip on the nail factory. That was the move. They did an assault move. They fired. Okay, then it goes back to the Germans. And the German player says, we have an opportunity. Let me see who's in this stack. We have an opportunity. Push. 1, 2, 3. They cannot assault move. Now, the one person in here that can assault move, you would have to do that separately. And I could bring the leader along and leave them behind. And then they could assault in return. But it's half movement, so that would be enough because they could run in and then lay some fire down. And it would be 3 firepower -1, but it's a -3 to the dice roll. Yeah, that's not good, actually. Okay, we'll do it. So it's, but again, they move, so it's +1, and adjacent is +3. So let's look at the bonuses. We have 2 for him, +1 is 3. +1 for moving is 4. +2 for adjacent is 6. -2 is +4. Their defensive terrain is 4. So this is actually equal. Okay. Let's see who gets the higher roll. Oh! That was about as bad a roll as you could get. Oh, but again, that was epic. They go running in. They're spraying the place down, and then they said, oh, nobody's in this room. But they get marked with moved, and they get marked with fired. Fire! The action is heating up. All right. Then it goes back to the Soviet player, and he's like, we got to do something, comrades. Our buddies are engaged in pitched battle. So he says, we are going in. What does he mean? He's going to go here. But we've got opportunity. Let's see if that's how they want to go. Okay, I had paused it temporarily. I was just considering if I want to go here. This is nothing. So there's a little bit of protection here. So the defending German player here is probably would op fire there, and it is clear line of sight. So they're trying to get back to help defend the nail factory now, but they're going to go ahead and open up. Now it is only 2 fire because it's you half for that, so it'd be 1.5, and then you round up at the end. So it's going to be 2. There's no protection there, no adjacent. Oh, they are moving, so it's going to be +1. So it's +3 in the open. That could be bad, but we're going to find out. So that'll be +3 to the white die. Oh man, that was bad as bad can be. That's going to be adding 6 to their roll because add that 3, that's a 7, subtract 1, that makes it 6. That was a bad time to roll a 1. So we're going to make some checks. Yeah, this could go bad. So we're adding 6. Alright, so for the leader first, Oh, 2 plus 6 is 8. If he had rolled a 1, all right, so he flips. Oh, wait, we're going to check him last. We'll check him last. So that flips him to shaken. All right, so all of these need a 1 to not shake. All right, so 6 and 6 is 12. That is actually double. So that's going to be a reduction. So let's find out what that is here. All right, so he becomes a 1, 3, 4 shaken and reduced there. All right, and then we'll roll the leader. Now, if he rolls a 1, he's fine. He rolled a 1, so he is fine. So we'll just stack them up. Good. That will save them from being overrun. Now, it does say I can continue moving on with the unit that survives. So I could like move him in here and then join here for protection, because by himself is kind of bad. But we're gonna I don't know if I want to leave him here, because he would be, that would not be good. Let's see, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he can't move anywhere else. And if he stays by himself, they can move here and take him. They can move here and be, at least he can go through a rally phase here and maybe bring back those units. So he'll stay put. Boop. Okay, well, that didn't work out. But these guys get fired. So that was probably the best thing they've done in a while. All right, great. All the Soviets are done. That brings the, oh, well, okay, so here's where it can be bad. Because they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll move in here. Now, yeah, that's terrible, because he doesn't have a support weapon, and that means he does not get to, he is considered a non-melee eligible unit, and because these guys are shaken, they also are non-melee eligible units. Therefore, the shaken units are taken out, so they'll become Soviet casualties, and single man counter by itself is kind of non-melee eligible as well, and therefore that leader gets taken out, and this gets marked with a melee. I have a melee marker here, and they're done. Now, I could also, for sake of argument, and I asked this on Facebook, it's up to you, you could just put move, because move is what brought them there. That way, if they get shot at or something, they were moving. But actually, you can't shoot into melee, because this is one of the things, too, that I was talking about. Because the turns are like 2 to 4 minutes, they're not really long, so a lot of this is considered simultaneous. So if you do the melee marker thing, then no one can shoot into it, because kinda the melee is still taking place, and it comes off at the end of the admin. The reason then why I would want the melee is complicated reasons. It's a good way to track that the unit has actually done something, because a unit that hasn't taken an action yet that is marked with melee, if there was other units in there, could initiate melee or attempt to leave. So I like to have some kind of marker on there just to remind me what they've done. Like, for example, if we were in a hex where they could melee because it was like a continuation, and they went first and they eliminated the other unit, well, they'd be the only unit in the hex with a melee, but they technically have done an action. So what I've come up with after reading the forum post there on Facebook is I can rotate the melee marker by like 90 degrees there and say, okay, because I've rotated it, that means this unit initiated a melee combat 1, but they can't be enacted again that turn, because there really isn't just a I did melee. And then you put this melee marker on top to let you know that whole stack is still melee, so if somebody moves into it, to continue melee later on. So, you know, there's some minutia that kind of comes as you play, but that's how I'm going to play melee. But because they moved, that just reminds me that they can't do anything this turn. They're done. Yeah, you could say, well, can't you remember that, Eddie? Well, I sometimes have to go take care of a kid, lunch, dinner. Things come up, and I leave a game mid-game. And when I come back, I have to try and remember, oh, what happened here? Usually not that bad, but if I come back like a day or two later, it's nice to have all these little visual reminders for myself, so I like little markers when I can. Alright, anyway, so the German player went in and just took out that stack. Not looking good for the Russians. There's no more Soviets to activate, so we've got one more German to bring up, and he's going to go here and here, and that way he can spring in to reinforce something later. Same with these guys over here, they're still there. Alright, that brings us to the end of the turn. They would have a moved on them, and we'll go ahead and clean up and come back and start the next turn. Alright, we advanced the turn marker, so I'm going to roll for initiative. Russians will maintain the initiative if there's a tie, and it stays on the Soviet player side. I also added a kind of a victory marker here for the Germans because they moved in. And okay, so Soviet player goes first. Wow, not a whole lot of options here. People are closing in. They're going to have to shoot at a stack. This stack is kind of low, but man, maybe we could take out a huge stack because they got firepower in this one. They got a couple of 1-6-4s, and then there's a 2-3-4. Let's hit this stack here. They've only got their leader. It is a 2-3-4, so it does have some firepower in it, but what we'll do is probably move some folks in to reinforce that. So for now, we'll go ahead and shoot over here. And because they're adjacent, it's a spotted hex. So there's some spotting rules for you. So again, what we have is 2 for the primary firing unit, plus half for an additional, so that's 3. Add 1 for leadership. There's no halve, so there's no rounding up. They are adjacent, so that's 2. So that's 4 plus 2 is 6. They have a building, they're stone, so that is a defense of 4. So that's plus 2 for the Soviet player, so plus 2 on the red die, and it ties. Alright, well, that's definitely not looking good now. Soviet player, that was probably about the best that he has at the moment, so he gets marked fired. Then the German player comes back, and they've got some firepower here, though. So they're going to add 2 for the primary, half for the additional, half for this one. So that add 1 for this guy here. So Sergeant Beck, that makes that 3, 3.5. Oh no, it's a 0. He's a 0. So that's 2, 2.5, 3, because they're adding half each. So that's just a firepower of 3. Ooh, that is not the super stack. Okay, so we've got 3, and it's 2 for adjacent. So that's a 5. Minus 4 for the stone building the Russians are in. So that's going to be a plus 1 on the white German die. And that's a 6 to 2, so that's a 4. So that's damage checks with a plus 4. So let's see what's in here. Just a couple of dudes. So we got to roll 1s. Well, we can get a 2 because he's going to add plus 1 for his leadership. So we'll start with that first guy. They make it. Second guy does not. It's not double because it's, what was I adding, like 4 to it? So it's just like a 9 versus his 6 because it's plus 1. So it's just a shaken. And let's see what the leader gets. It's just a 6. 4. So he's shaken as well. Because 4 plus 4 is 8, so that's more. Okay. Well, I mean, that's not favorable. So they were fired, and being point blank, they fired. Okay, back to the Soviets. Really limited on options here, because we could move to this. They can assault move, but they get half their movement. So they could like move here and shoot in the open. Yes, that's what they'll do. So they'll move right there into the building for some protection, and they'll fire. So let's get that assault move marker ready. And again, that's 2 for the main firer plus half for the additionals. That's 3. Subtract 2 for the assault move. And then it's 1, 2, 3. Well, half again for extended range, but you round up. So basically, it's just a 1 firepower. Okay. But they are in the open. So it's going to be a +1 on the red die. Ooh. Okay. That is a little bit of revenge before this is out, I think. So what we have then is +1, so that's 7 to 2. That's a difference of 5. So that's damage checks with a +5. Well then, let's lay them out. They were not expecting that. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. So we'll take and add 5. That's a minimum of shaken for everybody. Alright? So 6, that's 11. 6 5 is 11. So not only is he shaken, but he's reduced. So let's see what happens there. Alright, he becomes a reduced shaken 1, 3, 4 right there. Alright, let's roll again for this person. So we add 5. So that's 8. So they're just shaken. They're not reduced. Next guy along. 8. And the officer, so we add the 5. Oh, that totally missed. That's a 9. Ooh. Ooh. Well, I mean, okay, that's bad, but it's not. So there's a leader with them, and there's a rally phase coming up. So there's a chance they could be okay. I could detach a leader and move the leader over, and then help to rally even that gentleman. So, you know, not too bad. So that's what we're gonna do, because here comes a movement. Right now there's no more Soviet stacks that can do anything, so this is all German. So they didn't even have a chance to move, but this guy will move. Boop, like that. I'll put a moved on him out of habit. Now typically what I would do is probably just move that off to the side. This is where the 4X maps would be good. So this part of that hex, oh yeah, because he can have two single man counters, 3 regular guys, so they're good. And then what I could do is activate this group and go 1, pop, pop, stack, so they're all together again. They get marked with a moved, and this stack is full. He's gonna stay put. They'll stay put. I could have maybe moved some of these guys here, but we'll leave it like that for the moment. Alright, so we'll end that turn. That was quick. Clean up, come back, do turn 5. Moving along now. I advanced the marker, so we're going to check for initiative. The Soviets will retain a tie. And this time the Germans take the initiative. That might be all she wrote. Now we're going to check for rally. German player goes first because they won initiative. So we're just going to temporarily spread them out again so we can roll. They did bring in a leader who's got +1. We'll start with their leader. And I don't think that particular leadership modifier is like added together. Let me double check. Maybe they're both yelling at each other. Like if I can motivate the one guy, maybe they'll yell together at the rest. Alright, I did just a quick flip through and I didn't see it mention that if I rally a leader, if I can then combine their rally as a bonus and make it like a 2. I didn't see anything for that. So what I'm going to assume is just this one guy starting off the rally is going to rally everybody by himself. Even if he picks him up, he's still recovering, so he won't add his leadership modifier. I don't see it in the rule book, so that's how I'm going to play it. Alright, so he's going to add 1. We'll start with this leader though, and we roll both dice. So I got to get under a 7. They're not in cover, so that's not going to help. That definitely doesn't help. Then we're going to try this shaking guy here. So we got to get under 6. He's fine. Then we're going to get under 6. Six. All right, good. Good thing we brought that leader. And we'll check this one under 7. And they're good. All right, just their leader. Okay, good. Well, good thing he didn't recover because he didn't help anyway. And we'll stack them up. Here's that reduced, really cool unit I had. And there you are, and there you are. You're all still in the open. All right. That was the... Oh, shaken. This guy is shaken. I don't think I have anybody else, so we'll check him. Ah. All right, good thing I looked at that stack. All right, we're going to try the leader first. He gets +2 for being in a area that provides protection from all possible attacks. So he's got roll under 8. No! All right, well, they're done. Because that's it. There's no other leader in there. So their rallying is done. And Germans have the initiative. Oh, yes, they do. I'm looking to see. That's a 2, 3. They're going in. Going in, boys. Going in hot. So there's some melee coming on here. And this is going to go very bad for the Soviet player because these 2 shaken units don't get to participate, just this one. And we're going to go all or nothing on this one. So here's what we do. We're going to roll, it's simultaneous, so it doesn't matter who I go for first, but we'll add up all the firepower of the attackers. We'll just roll for them. Do attacker first, then the defender, which I think is how it should go anyway, but kind of really doesn't matter because it's simultaneous. So we'll say 2, 3, 4, and only one defender with a 2 because they don't participate. So that is 2-to-1 odds. 2-to-1 odds on our handy dandy melee combat chart I keep out because I do this a lot. Ooh, 2-to-1 is a 6. So we've got to, Germans need to roll a 6 or higher to eliminate this, basically that, all that. And they do. Now, we do get to return, but it's a lot different because now it's going to be, we're going brave. We're going to go 2-to-4. That's 1-to-2 odds. I need a 10. So if we're lucky, the Soviet player can roll a 10, 11, or 12 and wipe out all the German attackers too. Then that hex would be empty. Now that would be epic. Yeah, no, that was not epic. Alright, so there. Get out of here. And that leaves them in here. Oh, I'm going to refrain from putting a victory marker on there just because that's just about it. Now, they get moved. Remember, I just put a moved, and then I'm going to put a melee. They're done, and I don't see anybody moving in there, but just for consistency with how I do things in my head, I put the moved. I know they've done something to get there, so it wasn't like they started their turn in that hex. They moved into that hex, conducted melee, and there they are. Alright, so the last thing then, yeah, we're gonna shoot again at these guys. Yeah, he just fixed them up, but he wants to break them all again. Alright, because that's like the best thing that he's got right now. Alrighty, so again, that was adding 3 firepower because that's 2 plus the 1 from his buddy into no cover. So that's adding 3 to the red die. That's almost as bad as I thought it could be. So that's 8-to-2. That's a difference of 6. Holy moly. This is just a death hex. Ain't nothing getting out of there. So we're going to add 6. So if they roll a 1, that leader will save them, and that's all they got. Nope. That's 11. It's not double, so he's just shaken. Oh, he goes last. That way he can add his leadership to everybody. So let's start that over. We'll start here. 6, and I forgot what I rolled there. but we have to add 5 to it. 6 to it. We're adding 6 to it. All right, here we go. 10, not double. We compare against here. 11, that is double. They're going to get reduced, but you know, I think we're going to just almost capture that hex. I really don't feel like digging through and finding a 0. Yeah, I do, right here. Never mind, I'll just grab this one. I got to check, there's a chart when there's a reduction, and they're going to go from that, because it could be a 034 or like a 144 or something like that. But I don't feel like rolling. I don't want to stop the camera again. So we'll just say you're reduced, shaken, get over yourself. Alright, then we're going to add 6 to this guy. Well, he's shaken no matter what. But it's not doubled. So there it is. That's probably not the right marker, but we're only going to be here a little while longer. Now we're going to check the leader. If he rolls a 1, he's fine. Nope. That entire stack. But the good news is, ain't nobody left but them to take advantage of that. Oh, yeah, that has just become a death field. We'd have to get another leader over there to... we can't. We'd have to move somebody out, retreat them out, and then we could get another leader in there. So we could probably retreat that whole hex back. I think some of them only have a movement of 2, though. So, yeah, they're not... Oh, you know what, though? I may have remembered this last time. I may not have. I forgot. So if anybody was catching this, I did forget to subtract for their extended range. They lose 1 off their firepower for extended range. So this probably has not been as deadly. But it sure was entertaining up to that point. So anyway, they suffer 1 firepower a penalty, but I'd have to go and double check if that's off the entire attack. So instead of a 3, it would be a 2. It'd still be a 2. It would still be a 2, because if I subtract 1 here, that's a 1, and if I subtract 1 from that, that becomes a 1. But then because it's the additional guy, it's a half, but it rounds up to 1 anyway, so it'd be 2. So really, that only changed the attack by 1. So instead of adding 6 to the damage roll, I'd be adding 5. And I don't think that would have changed anything here much this time. So it was only 1 off of the firepower, so I'm not going to be too upset by that. That's kind of a minor thing at this point. So that leaves us with Germans. Now, I had a guy out here, and I accidentally took him off the map. I didn't mean to take him off. He wasn't the one I was supposed to reduce. So there's one I was supposed to reduce. I think I already grabbed it and took it aside. So let's see. I should only have 1. Yeah. When you realize you're kind of losing and it's kind of the end of the game, you tend to start to really play sloppy. Because what I was going to do, I guess I could just do right now. I mean, these guys are going to move in because they hadn't acted, and they just take that hex. And that means the nail factory was taken by the Germans. So we can post-game analysis that really, really fast. This played out way different than I've played this. I've done this scenario 3 times with just the infantry, trying to re-cement some of the rules into my brain. And the outcome has been completely different. Like I said, the first couple times I did it, the Germans lost horribly. Russians totally dominated the defense. This time, completely different outcome, but set it up a little bit differently, and really trying to focus on using the run ability and flank, and then kind of split the defense up a little bit. Maybe I should have just concentrated the Soviets into the nail factory to make everybody come at them. It didn't seem to work kind of that well before, having them kind of on the outer edges so that if somebody snuck in, they could overlap fields of fire. That seemed to work pretty good before for the Soviets, but this time, yeah, it really didn't work. there was a lot of Germans coming in, and as you can see, they overwhelmed. But things to keep in mind, I mean, definitely units in the open can just get absolutely smashed. Absolutely smashed. That's why they have pioneers to bring smoke with them to kind of clear this gap in here a little bit. They even added buildings onto this map area that isn't on camera, where they added 2 stone buildings and a wood building to try and give the German player a lot of opportunities to use buildings and cover up to a point. And then once you hit the Soviet defenders, there are a few lanes that are open unless you can put some smoke down to try and obscure line of sight, or if you're moving through the smoke, give you some kind of protection. That would be a good thing to add. Support weapons might be good to add, especially for the Soviet defender, because they do get some DP machine guns. That way they could take advantage of some of those defensive areas of fire. So what I could do here is, instead of putting some Soviet defenders up here right away and then having to fall back, I mean, I could probably just stick some guys right there with a DP machine gun, and then as anybody kind of comes up, because this is all clear, so even if you got here, we could shoot at you, but there's your heavy cover. So like most of the stone buildings are here. I mean, there's some here, but again, I could just reposition with some DP machine guns. That way I wouldn't have to have them stacked. I stacked these because originally, just having one, I mean, that's firepower too by itself, but they have limited range. And then when people started to get close, it was more firepower than like a single 164 German unit. But having 2 stacked, that was a really good amount of firepower. Put a machine gun with that, and they can really lay down some hurt. However, it still kind of limits you. So, you know, maybe having a machine gun here, have this guy as a backup. That way you kind of get maybe multiple shots of opportunity fire or something. I don't know, just trying to spread it out somehow. It just seems like there's more Germans than Russians on this one. And that makes sense because this was the counterattack. Yeah, so then just as far as playing the game, you know, I did forget the extended range on them. I probably did mess up a couple of other things for the sake of, you know, I'm just having fun. This got to be fun. And overall, though, I still think this is a valid theory as far as relearning a game or learning it for the first time. As you can see, the game is quite playable even with just infantry. From this point on, once you get the basics of infantry, you can just start adding a little bit here and there. You have a completely playable game. Wow, this camera is really shaking. I swear I'm bumping it now, trying to stop it from shaking. But anyway, you can just slowly add in little elements at a time. Why is that shaking? I can't get it to stop. Weird. Anyway, I'm trying not to be distracted by the warbling camera. Yeah, so I was thinking, I think this is great. Like, I really could play this scenario again, get different outcomes, and it doesn't even bother me. I could easily maybe just add in a couple, you know, there's machine guns, maybe not the flamethrower, but the machine guns, leave off the I think there was it mentioned a Molotov and a satchel charge. Maybe not a Molotov, but I know there's a satchel charge. Satchel charge would get used in melee, and that I'm sure would be devastating on the opponent. Gets used up. But yeah, definitely see some room for growth on this scenario alone. But there it is. You're relearning with me, or helping me relearn, and possibly, if you are new to lock and load, that gives you some encouragement to just dive in. For me, the best way to learn is just simply play. For me, reading the whole rule book and trying to absorb, about half of this is rules. The other half is demos and some other stuff. But it's a lot. Look, I'm still looking at friendly leaders, offboard artillery. You know, if I say to myself, I want to get all of those rules read and learned before I play, I'll never play. It would take a while without physical examples to put your hands on it and then play. So I would encourage you, just just get the game to the table, lay it out, push your pieces around, start getting those mechanics down. You know, even if you forget some of those minutia, just getting the basic concept of I've got move points. You know, even if you don't play with the leaders, I take that back. I think for this particular game, you really need to bring some leaders on immediately, because without them, no rallying will take place. But to be fair to that point, because someone will say, but Eddie, special scenario rules. Yes, special scenario rules does give some bonuses, but again, if you're just doing the basics, but maybe the next thing you want to add are those scenario rules. As you can see here, for the Soviet forces, there is one rule you could add which might help. It's the for the Motherland rule. So in each rally phase, the Soviet player can raise the morale of all units in one hex by 1. So it just says, for example, other rally modifiers such as occupation of terrain with a positive target modifier and leadership modifiers still apply. This ability applies to any Soviet unit, including vehicles and partisans. Now, for this particular scenario we're playing, there was no SS, but the SS have a fanaticism. So maybe you pick a later scenario that has some SS in it. You could look. I'd have to look. I'm sure somewhere in here would be a scenario with some SS in it. I was just seeing if maybe it labeled specifically SS troops. Yeah, right here. Panzer Grenadiers of the 1st SS Panzer Division. So you could, for example, pick this scenario. There is a couple of Panthers. There's a Tiger. Oh, maybe this would be good when you wanted to start bringing in vehicles. Big vehicles, Su-152, JS-2, holy cow, this must be, yeah, 1944, I was going to say later in the war, because those are some big daddies, with a few infantry. So you could say, okay, let's say I'm learning this scenario, I could then use the SS Fanaticism and the For the Motherland and start introducing module rules. So, you know, just plan it out a little bit, but my recommendation, just play. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.